because today our first speaker is Hamid Hashemian, who's here, and I'll introduce you to him in just a minute. Hi, Hamid.
Hi,
Um,
hi, hi, dear Kath.
yeah, and you're joining us from Vietnam today, is that right? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, so I think we're now streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. So welcome to everybody, and hello to everybody here in Zoom, and welcome to this Teaching English event all about AI for inclusion. It's great to have so many people from all around the world here today. So if you're joining us on Zoom, then remember you can use the chat to answer any of Hamid's questions, and the same on Facebook. But please use the Q&A for any questions you would like to ask him at the end of the session. So this first session is about transforming mixed ability classes with the use of AI tools. And we're here with Hamid Hashemian. Hamid's joining us today from Vietnam. How are you, Hamid?
I am feeling absolutely great, absolutely thrilled being here with you and a lot of professionals, enthusiastic teachers joining us. And I'm blissfully happy because I'm going to learn from everyone and each of them as well through their interaction and the chat box. Thank you indeed.
Absolutely. Okay, well, it's great to have you here. Before I hand over to you, I'm just going to tell the audience a little bit about you. So, this is Hamid Hashemian, as we've discussed. He's got 15 years of experience teaching young learners, teenagers, and adults. And he's currently working as lead trainer and director of studies at a secondary school in Vietnam. His special interests in teaching include technology, gamification, CPD, and differentiation. So, he's the perfect person to have here today speaking to us about AI and inclusion. So I'm going to hand over you to now, Hamid. Remember, we'll be back at the end for a quick Q&A, but I'll hand over to you now. Have a great
All
webinar.
right. Okay, thank you. Thank you so very much, dear Kath. Okay, now I am going to begin sharing my screen, everybody. Welcome on board. Again, I am blissfully happy meeting everyone and each of you. And let's get started. I would like everybody, let's celebrate our diversity and say hello in your own language in the chat box. Can you do me a favor and type in your own language? How do you say hello? So if you're trying to celebrate our diversity, well done. I can see some of you writing salam, marhaba, namaste. Incredible. Hello. And well done. It's rapidly moving. All right. Again, super duper fast. I am unable to catch up on every one of them, but great. Well done. Xin chào. Because I'm currently based in Vietnam, I am familiar with Vietnamese language. Welcome on board, everybody. I am absolutely thrilled being here and spending roughly 45 minutes with you today. So, it leads us to get a little bit further and focus on what we have on the menu today. So I am about to introduce the main aims of this session. Thank you, everybody. On the menu today, we've got the technical term mixed ability classes. So prior to the official commencement of this webinar and the details, it's important to address two key questions here. What is a mixed ability classroom and why does it occur? And why does it exist in our, let's say, teaching context? I'm pretty sure you are teaching in from every corner of the world. You might have noticed that you are, to a great extent, you might have experienced teaching mixed ability classes. We're going to be looking at how can we differentiate our instruction via AI in today's modern society where AI plays a very crucial role and it has significantly paved the path for us. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, guys. We're going to be looking at four different practical activities at the end as well, or the further we go. So I would like to have your active participation and full involvement through the chat box that you can type. Uh, Penier has very beautifully said that a mixed level class, or a kind of popular definition that she came up with. So a popular, somewhat humorous way to define. Can anyone tell me what the missing letters are? Thank you, Senna, Mohammed, great. Betix and Zelda, wonderful. So a popular, somewhat humorous way to define a heterogeneous class is to say it starts with just two students. So the moment there is more than one learner, differences naturally arise. And in any group of students, you will always need to manage individual differences. Well done, guys. Thank you so very much, Gonay, Piri, Mahshid. Thank you for all your wonderful right, contribution and responses. And even there is another interesting definition that Hess in 2001 came up with, sorry. And he believes that a mixed ability English class involves more than just a slight. Can anyone tell me what the missing letters are here? A slight. Well done, Senna. Thank you. James, you're awesome. Great. Differences between learners. It includes significant gaps in language levels. So this means teachers in every single corner of the world in different contexts, they must adapt both. What kind of adaptation should they take into account? They should adapt both planning, thank you, Grada, or Feaz, thank you, great. Planning as well as their instruction, thank you. Nargis, great. Mahshid, Ewa, Lopez, great. Planning and instruction to address the varied needs within the group. So it is absolutely vital to have this awareness as a teacher. When we are teaching, we are expected to differentiate in this way and consider or take into account when we're planning and try to instruct the address. But the question is why? Why do we have mixed ability classes in every context that you're teaching, either you're teaching in a language, secondary or primary or high school? Because they usually tend to group students by age, and bear in mind that age doesn't always refer or reflect their level of English. In contrast, private language schools typically organize learners based on proficiency, and it could be like using a placement test. And again, there is a question that I would like to ask. A placement test. These tests can miss important differences. For example, one student might perform very well on language systems like grammar, lexis, tests, but when it comes to productive skills such as speaking and writing, they might struggle, while another might be the reverse. So that means mixed ability classes exist. Whether you like it or not, it is definitely an inevitable part of our teaching. Alireza is typing, some students make much more progress since they allocate enough time to studying English. Great, thank you, Alireza. You are exactly trying to back it up with what I am trying to say. Great. Amir believes not to mention under performance due to test anxiety. Thank you, dear Amir. Exactly. You guys are providing us with wonderful information. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and collect some more ideas. When we say mixed ability classroom, we mean a class which is varied in what? Can you type into the chat box and tell me what are the differences? I would be more than pleased if Kath and Melissa can even join us. Type into the chat box. When we say a mixed ability class, in any context that you're teaching, students varied in what? Great. Multiple intelligence. Thank you, Reem. You said age, sexuality. Thank you. Okay. Level, age, skills, types of answers. Wow, you're doing a great job. Wonderful. Yes, Kath, if you would like to add or share anything further, I'm still reading the comments. It's
Yeah, I
super
think yeah, loads of good ideas here. I mean, I'd say motivation as well is a big one.
great level of motivation. I can see social
Mm.
interaction, attention, the cognitive skills level. Great, great, wonderful. You're absolutely right. This is precisely in line with what Penier and some other scholars during the last decades, during 3 or 4 decades, they have been writing different textbooks in this respect. Exactly. Age, language aptitude, mother tongue, language level of the proficiency, their culture, if they're coming from a particular background that English has been highlighted or not. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys for your wonderful interaction and let's say contribution. Thank you, dear Layla and Sonia and everybody. You're absolutely right. So during the last decade, I have come across a lot of teachers, and this is exactly going in line with myself. The prominent problems we might have encountered when we are teaching mixed ability classes would be teachers form a perception that, okay, higher level students often take control of classroom activities or discussions, and they are definitely right to a certain extent and level. Or half of the students have finished when the other half have barely begun. They're still complaining that the more advanced students lose interest when I have to take time to support those who are struggling. Uh, but I have a question to ask. What are some of the problems that you have encountered teaching mixed ability classes? Apart from what I have mentioned, regardless of the domination or while the higher achiever learners dominate the discussion or the role, Layla's typing methods, those have chosen and usage of them. Thank you. Rosalie mentioned pace, lack of motivation, different levels of, okay, willingness, different learning willingness, or some of your main mentioning learning preferences. Thank you. Great. Mohammed is typing behavior or teaching large classes or discipline problems. I definitely see eye to eye with every single point that you're trying to mention. But bear in mind, guys, teaching large mixed ability classes has a lot of ups and downs. What we teachers, we professionals, we can grow through the down moments. So this is crucial to consider it as something positive rather than negative. Penier very beautifully did some research and tried to mention some evidence-based statements. So we're going to look at 5 teacher statements describing learning problems they have with their heterogeneous classes. We've got Mark, Sarah, Tanya, Peter, and Ella. And let's look at Mark. Mark says, I cannot make sure they are all learning effectively. The tasks I provide are either too difficult or too easy for many of them. Uh, Manolsko, if I'm not mistaken, has very interestingly wrote, you've written down lower level students fearing of speaking because of the lack of knowledge, and fluency is going to be impacted or comparing to high level students. Great. The 3 key components of speaking when it comes to complexity, fluency, and accuracy, they are all going to be affected to a certain level. Let's look at Sarah. Sarah believes that the problem would be with the materials. We are all teaching in language schools, language centers, where we have been prescribed or imposed to teach a certain book, and we are probably less likely to make use of any other supplementary materials. The material is unsuitable. The text is, in my course book, are targeted at students at a particular level, and some of my students need easier or more difficult materials. The third problem would be Tanya. Tanya said that I cannot activate them all. Only a few students, the more proficient and confident ones, seem to respond actively to my questions. Peter believes that they get bored. I can't find topic and activities that keep them all interested. So it's a matter of engaging or maintaining the level of engagement throughout the session. Uh, and the other one, Ella believes that I have discipline problems in these classes and I find them difficult to control. I have a question to ask, guys. You can type yes or no into the chat box. Do you believe that in a mixed ability class, we must design or create a kind of plan that we can teach all the students all the time? My question is it crucial for us as teachers to teach all the students all the time? I can see some yeses, some no's, sometimes. Great. Now I can see no's or okay, you're writing and typing rapidly. Great. Thank you, everybody. Wonderful. If you know Abraham Lincoln, he has very beautifully said that you can fool uh, some of the people all the time and all of the people some of the time. But you cannot fool all the people all the time. And it relates to us as teachers that we can teach some of the students all the time and all of the students some of the time, but we cannot necessarily teach all the students all the time. This is what Penier has even very beautifully mentioned and pointed out in 2018. It was a British Council event. Uh, but on the other side of the coin, it is all not negative or bad to teach mixed ability classes. Thank you, Rusty believes I believe we work in groups and rather than individuals. Absolutely right. Layla, agree. Great. Thank you, guys. Or Rashid believes that. Okay, thank you. Lots of all right messages. What could be the major benefits of teaching mixed ability classes for both teachers and students? There are definitely educational values. This is what Penier has very interestingly pointed out and rightly pointed out. You get, or students get to know each other's cultures. They are learning how to respect each other's cultures and diversity and differences. They are experiencing opinions and they are also increasing their own, let's say, knowledge and their awareness. Apart from the educational values, there are added benefits to human resources and the cooperation, guys. Leila said interact with different cultures. Absolutely right. He now believes that defining roles to students on their abilities. Exactly. The human resources, it means you've got a richer pool of human resources that more than homogeneous classes, guys. So it means individuals with more, let's say, life experiences, with more knowledge, with more, let's say, varied opinions and more interests and ideas to share. So the chances for them to learn from each other would be significantly higher and more. The teacher and the cooperation, it means there are peer teaching. There are moments that peer teaching, collaboration, and they're likely to be common in these types of classes. Atika said it happens to me while teaching, though it happens in different ways. Some are not confident and some don't know how to explain where are they. Great, Atika. I'm just going to provide you with some practical tips and ideas the further we go. And last but certainly not least, guys, bear in mind teacher development. I would like to reiterate the fact that uh, there is definitely a kind of teacher development. There are lots of creativity and innovations that we can learn. This is challenging. At the same time, we are learning to grow. We are getting better. Again, I would like to reiterate the fact that the life or the journey of teaching mixed stability classes is full of ups and downs, but we can grow and become better uh, through the down moments. Connie believes that mixed proficiency classes are benefit that we tend to not recognize. Absolutely right. It could be the most neglected area on the side of teachers. You've got a point there. But what do we have the further we go? I'm going to deep dive into differentiated instruction and show you some techniques and strategies that we could rely on AI to vary the open and closed tasks and how we could adapt either up or adapt down the language tasks and finally with skills tasks. But what is differentiation? Differentiation, as Tomlinson has mentioned, differentiation involves designing and organizing lessons in a way that allows, help me guys, what are the missing letters? What are the missing letters? Can anyone tell me? Thank you so very much, everybody. Lamsa, Ahmed, great, well done. Different learners, exactly. We're trying to involve a differentiate involves designing, organizing lessons in a way that allows different learners to have varied or different learning experience within the same class. There is a same goal for everyone, but they are doing it in different ways. The differentiation could take place either through the content. As a teacher, we could see that how we could differentiate the content. We could either try to take it into account that how tasks could be differentiated or the interactions. By content, that I'm going to give you a prime example at the moment, it means we are trying probably to, let's say, differentiate the level of complexity or the difficulty of a text. Imagine that you're going to focus on a receptive skill, which is a reading text. And in your classroom, you've got 30, 35 students. And you might have noticed the text you're trying to incorporate in your classroom is at B2 level, while you've got students at B1. So you could, let's say, you could probably change or differentiate the level of difficulty, or you can also provide them with different worksheets. So there is a wonderful website that I'm about to introduce. Here we have the very first practice. You've got a reading text, and this comes from, or it has been adapted from British Council website. And I'm giving you roughly 30 seconds to have an in-depth look at the first paragraph. How to make different tasks without disturbing the more literacy writing students. Okay, raise up because more moving students are a bit noisy when they. That's exactly the matter of discipline problems. I'm going to get back to that. Just let's look at this one. This is the very first practice. There is a website. There is a website where you can utilize, which is called vocabkitchen.com. You can copy and paste the text here, and it interestingly would tell you what level of the language or the proficiency or the words and or the text about, like B1 level. You can see this text contains more of a B1, A2, and even B2, all right, vocabulary. And I believe that if I'm going to use this in the classroom, the majority of my learners are probably going to face, let's say, some problematic issue in terms of comprehending the text. Because imagine you're going to put a kind of gist question and they're unable to catch up and try to address that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask Claude. There are different types of text-to-text AI generators. This is Claude, or Claude. And I'm asking this Claude that I am an English teacher teaching 32 high school students in a mixed ability classroom. And I want you to rewrite the reading text that is suitable for B1 learners based on CEFR since okay, all right, since the original text is B2 already. So we're looking at how this Claude or this text-to-text AI generator can rewrite or modify the text that might suit the majority of learners' needs in my classroom who are basically at B1 level. And here we go. Claude would convert and paraphrase the text, but we have to be very specific and be very, very, let's say, uh, vigilant with the type of prompt that we provide these AI tools with, specifically the prompt specifically with text-to-text AI generators such as Claude, Gemini, or ChatGPT, or Grok, and even Copilot. Interestingly, I did try to use the Vocab Kitchen again, and I uploaded that paraphrased version here. Uh, okay, a paraphrased version here, and you can see that the majority of the words have been changed to B1 level. If I think that there are still students in my classroom who are probably still struggling because there are probably A2 plus learners, and because of some of the policy, let's say, makers, they have decided to put A2 plus B1 and B2 minus, okay, or B1 plus together. And I believe this text is still going to create a certain level of, let's say, confusion or complexity or a barrier. It might be a kind of barrier. But Cap Kitchen, it's a wonderful website to realize and identify the level of difficulty in a text. Uh, Very recently, British Council, they have published some amazing articles and booklets, and that is called AI Activities and Resources for English Language Teachers. And I'm pretty sure they are sharing it into the chat box with you as well. You can have easy access to them. And I did try to get this idea and this prompt from that particular booklet. And it says, for example, this is a prompt that you can give to AI tools or the text-to-text generators. Analyze this text and create a glossary of the most difficult words. Format the glossary with 3 columns, like column 1 words, column 2 definitions, column 3 a translation. Everybody knows there are still researchers and there are scholars who are struggling, who are trying to address that L1 can still come in handy in the classroom. So you can put the translation into my language, like this is the text I would like you to analyze, and copy and paste the text. And here is let's say the column or the glossary. So again, you're having students in your classroom who are deeply in need of these, let's say, glossary, and you're trying to offer linguistic scaffolding, providing them with the chance to gain a deeper and a sound and a better understanding of the text. And if I were to add a little bit more information, I would probably ask ChatGPT to add the part of a speech for each individual word, along with putting them in a sentence. Thank you, guys. I can see Layla said interesting. Okay, thank you. I can see some of you are Yes, I can. A long classroom arrangement is a game changer. Great. Ayub, thank you. You was the horseshoe layout class can reduce grabs attention. Great. Well, then you're coming up with some wonderful ideas concerning classroom management or the learning environment. Differentiation could either even take place through the process, product, and even content along with learning environment. But now I'm talking mainly about some practical ideas in terms of content and language tasks. So far, so fair. Now I would like you guys to tell me, have you ever tried or could you use creating a word list with definitions to help your learners in the mixed ability classes? Have you ever done this? I can see a lot of yeses and it indicates you've done it before. And that's brilliant because you are again trying to create a kind of safe environment for everybody to, let's say, reach the same goal within that classroom and within that atmosphere while you are paving the path in different ways. Great. Don't forget about the vocabkitchen.com, which was an absolutely incredible website, and the rest of them that we've got along the way. John Holt came up with a very meaningful quote. He said that learning is, can you fill in the gaps and tell me what the missing words are? Great, thank you, Fayos. Not. Great. The first missing word is learning is not the product of, thank you, you guys are super duper fast, fantastic, teaching. Learning, in fact, is in the product of the activity of learners. So it's crucial as a teacher to constantly reflect upon what kind of material, what kind of adaptation I'm trying to make, or if I'm making any amendments to the kind of material I'm using in the classroom. So learning is not necessarily just the product of teaching, but it is also the product of activity of the learners. So let's carry on and look at another brilliant idea, an amazing activity that you could incorporate in your large mixed ability classrooms. So this game or activity is called Guess the Prompt. And I would like to have all your full attention here. There is a website which is called skybox.blockade.labs.com. And it is I like an AI image generator. And it provides you with 3D photos that you can zoom in and zoom out. It gives you the chance to craft 360-degree worlds in just one click. The game you're about to play, exactly, Wallop, you're trying to uh, quote Benjamin Franklin. Great. Tell me and I know, or maybe I forget, teach me and involve me and I will remember. You're putting your students in group of three. Imagine you're trying to promote a little bit of, let's say, the communication skill. The 21st century skills are highlighted in this activity. Imagine your students, you would like them to be more creative. You would like to promote the sense of collaboration and make it more communicative. We're going to use this task in your classroom. Look, you're putting the students in groups of three. In groups of three. Then you're asking them to bring their tablets or laptops or phones. You're introducing these websites to them in advance. So they use the AI tool like DALL-E2 or Copilot or Midjourney or even Deep AI. And they are going to work in group of three. Write a prompt between 20 to 40 words containing some topic-specific vocabularies from the theme of your lesson. Imagine my lesson revolves around living in a city, living in an urban life, or differences between living in a mega city and in an urbanized area, for example, or a rural area. Then they take a screenshot and remove the prompt. So again, the students in group of three, they are using these websites. They give it 20 to 40 words or as a prompt. They allow them to create the image and they take a screenshot. They remove the prompt. They get rid of the prompt. Then they show the picture to the other team. So you have team A, team B, team C. Team A would create their own photo, team B, team C, without showing each other the prompt. Then they show the picture to the other group. Bear in mind, there are two interesting facts, or there are two interesting ways that you can implement or incorporate it in your classrooms. They show the picture to the other group. One person in that group will count, will become the counter, and two of them describe the AI generated image and make as many sentences as possible, moving from simple to complex. Look, it's the matter of striking a balance between HOTS versus LUTs. I mean, higher order thinking skills and lower order thinking skills. In 60 or 90 seconds, they have to start describing the image, make as many sentences as possible, and even using some of the key vocabularies that those teams, let's say, utilized in order to create that image. For example, look at this one. I did ask an AI generated, two AI generated, let's say, text to image generators to create a futuristic city with towering skyscrapers and high-rise buildings, include lush parks suspended in the sky. And this is a B2 plus learner, or let's say teaching context, connected by glass bridges, show flying cars and sleek sky motorbikes zipping between buildings. And the skyline should be vibrant and full of neon lights with a clean, advanced, and eco-friendly atmosphere. So, Skybox, okay, Azra, it was a Skybox Blockade Labs. Don't worry, all these versions, they are all completely free. These completely free versions will be shared with you. Don't panic, you're going to have access to all of them. This is Skybox Blockade Labs, and you can see I did provide it with this prompt, and it has created such a masterpiece, which is fascinating. You are trying to let's say, raise a student's visual literacy. You're trying to make them think critically and coming up with some sentences that could describe this megacity that they might probably foresee in 50 years, in 100 years, with this, let's say, accelerated change and overwhelming complexity and this massive improvement in AI and everything. You can also ask Deep AI. There is another website which is called Deep AI. So you can also provide it with the same prompt, and it does create and generate such a wonderful picture. So the ultimate purpose of using this website was, again, to ask the students to guess the prompt. So you're trying to create a gap between the knowledge of Team A and Team B and Team C. And they're having, let's say, access to the photos. Now they have to start making a sentence or several sentences while using some relevant topic-specific vocabulary. Yeah, kind of, sorry, it's quite the same, but it's mainly, it is primarily designed, I mean, Deep AI and Midjourney or DALL-E 2 or Sky Blockade Labs, they are mainly and primarily designed for generating images, text to image. You're guessing the prompt. So again, you can do the same scenario in another way. So far, so fair. So teams are describing each other's photos using relevant topic-specific vocabulary to the photo and making as many sentences as possible. You can make it more competitive. How? Now you can again assign each team to create another photo, while these photos are going to be primarily about a rural area. Okay? You can also provide them with the chance to use a certain level of vocabulary, or a certain number of vocabularies. They count and check to what extent they were able to guess most of the relevant vocabularies for the prompt. And they do it again. And it could be a nice competitive element here. You are providing them with the chance to describe the new photo, and they have to make more sentences and use more relevant vocabularies, and they have to break their previous record. This is a very nice idea that I got from Payoneer, but I did try to tweak it a little bit and use AI to make it a lot more interesting for students and engaging. So again, you are trying to make it, let's say, highly engaging for the learners. They are using AI. At the same time, they are critically think about how many words, what words am I going to, for example, use. Bear in mind, it's crucial to break their previous record, and each team can, let's say, generate more sentences. They are going to probably be the winner. And that's an amazing way to make sure that they're doing it within 60 or 90 seconds. Guys, crucial aspect of this game is to have a time limit. If there is no time limit, it is no longer a gamified activity. So a gamified activity should have the element of timing because it makes it a lot more engaging. Now, have you ever used this one? Yes or no? Can you tell me very briefly into the chat box that how you use text to image generators? Like, could you use guest prompt to help with your mixed ability classes? I would like to stop sharing my screen for a couple of, okay, yes, no, I can see some no's, more no's, some yeses. Thank you, Mahshid, Albella, okay, Sepher, Ritika, Andy, Farzana said no, no, some yeses, but the majority of you said no. Okay, I hope that they would give you some food for thought and you can incorporate these ideas in your classes. Okay, and classrooms, great. Let's keep our feet on the ground. We're going to be looking at some more practical ideas along the way, in particular, or with regard to tasks. We've so far talked about how you could differentiate the content using some particular websites such as Vocab Kitchen and gauge the level of complexity and difficulty of the text. And now we have just looked at how you could probably rely on text to image AI generators that would allow you to play this game, which was called Guess the Prompt. Sorry, let's carry on. How can we support all our learners effectively? We're going to be looking at how we could probably design tasks or modify tasks. With the emergence of AI, we could probably make it a lot more rapidly. Connie Hall said, have students generate images to represent target vocabulary? Have students guess the vocabulary utilized in sentences? Great. Students can evaluate. I said, great, Connie, you're amazing. You have just summarized everything that I've done. You're awesome. Great. Thank you. Amar, thank you, Mahdi. Thank you, Mahdi. Everybody said Pehriani. Okay, great. You're awesome. Now we're going to be looking at how we could adapt the tasks up or adapt the tasks down. And how can we support all our learners more effectively? What strategies can we use to adjust tasks when needed, in particular in a mixed ability classroom? Are we simplifying the tasks for those who need more support, or by making them more challenging to stretch quicker learners? I would first of all like to draw your attention to this task. We've got two different types of tasks. The tasks could be either closed or open. And what do we mean by closed tasks? If you have an in-depth look at the screen, you will see that here the task says, again, it comes from British Council, complete the sentences with the words from the box. Great, Pushpa, it could be. The major features or specifications of closed tasks could be, there is one right answer. Learners don't have to create their own ideas or even write anything. Not only that, everyone can also do them. They have clear answers. It could be a merit. And it supports less confident learners. They are provided with choices. They present the same level of challenge to every learner. So this is called a closed task. This is another one. Again, it has been extracted from a British Council. On the other side of the coin, we might have open tasks. And look, there is a question coming from a book which says, discussion. Do you like to fly with only hand or luggage? Why do we consider it as an open task? Because you are free to say whatever you like, and what they want. Students can complete this task without language restrictions. They're not being told that you must, or you're restricted, or you're confined to utilize past tense or present tense. Without any guidance, they can accomplish the task. Look at this question. Share with a partner. Do you have an online profile? Which other tips for profile writing can you share? Open tasks, there are no right or there are no wrong answers. They are free to choose the content and the language level. We don't necessarily put a lot of pressure on their shoulder that it must be something very accurate or it must be something based on fluency. No, you see, all learners may take similar amount of time to complete the task. These are the main features of open tasks. But now, I can make it a little bit more interesting, suitable for a mixed ability classroom. Guys, look at this question. Here it says, share with a partner. What is your appearance like? Describe a friend or someone in your family. And look at it. It says, I did try to add this one. It says, if you write 3 or 4 sentences, or if you can say or generate 3 or 4 sentences, I'm going to say good. 5, better. 6, very good. You're still trying to create a very safe environment where students are feeling secure, they are feeling included, and you're not going to push and say every single student has to create or generate 6 sentences. Even the student who is a little bit lower learner, or who is considered to be a lower learner, let's say lower ability learner, can still create 3 to 4, and it's okay. But now there is a question. In a large mixed ability classroom, are we supposed to heavily rely on just open or closed tasks? Well, it is crucial to note that tasks do not always need to be entirely open or entirely closed. Open tasks can still require specific language use, while closed tasks might allow for some degree of flexibility. But bear in mind, everybody, you can let's say adapt up or adapt down the language task by AI. And I'm going to do that right now. But bear in mind, before using any AI tools, make sure that the relevant people, learners, parents, and school communities know you are using this tool. And encourage students not to share any personally identifiable data while using them. Some tools may collect data, and some may have age restrictions. For example, ChatGPT requires that children aged 13 to 18 obtain a parental consent before using it. Find out what you can about each tool, do about each tool before using it. This is for the sake of ethical considerations, and this is that British Council would highlight a lot. Bear in mind. So, how can we adapt down the tasks? If you look at the screen, you will see that there is a table containing 3 or divided into 3 columns. We have the phonemes and is. And it means the students might have probably learned how to form plural or how to make a verb adding s and what changes would, or what kind of changes would take place at the end of the word. I did ask ChatGPT, can you adapt the following task down for lower learners in 3 different ways? And one of them that appealed to me the most was color-coded sorting for A2 learners. The objective would be focusing on listening and visual support. You see, there are students in your classroom who would like to be supported visually apart from listening, and they would probably accomplish the task a lot more successfully and confidently. And now you can see the instruction would be, you provide a word list like cats, dogs, buses, books. Provide a word list with plural nouns and highlight S in blue, highlight Z in green, and is in red. Students listen to the teacher or audio and color the words. And this is an interesting way to view AI info making when students, okay. You're asking me with if it's all work best learn made up students if they work on with AI, leave instruction for facilitator. Yes, definitely. AI tools, they have paved the path significantly for us, both teachers and the learners. And it's crucial to raise the learners' awareness. Like what I'm doing in my classroom personally is allocating 5 minutes or 10 minutes once a week when I'm meeting my students and trying to raise their awareness, teach them and instruct them how to use different AIs, raising their awareness in terms of, okay, uh, okay, all right, and it very slowly, but it did, okay, uh, okay. Sorry, I am reading your comments very slowly, guys. I'm trying to use some particular, let's say, my lessons and raising the students' awareness in terms of how to, let's say, use different AI tools, what kind of prompts they can give it to them. So bear in mind, to put it in a nutshell, you can adapt the tasks down by breaking the tasks into shorter, more manageable parts. You are scaffolding learning by supplying model responses or even illustrative examples. You're giving extra vocabulary or sentence structures to help learners, and you're minimizing the decisions, am I right? Decision points to avoid overwhelming learners and support clear task focus. These are the different ways that we could adapt down the language tasks. Look at okay, sure, okay. They're all in the nice. They're all in the pamphlet and the booklet and the handout that will be shared afterwards. But so far, if you look at the chat box, you will see I've introduced skyblockade.labs.com, Deep AI, Midjourney, some text-to-text AI generators, and even text-to-image generators. There is a game which is called Pass It On, and we are going to both adapt the task down for the learners who are found to be lower ability learners and adapt the task up for the ones who are higher ability learners. Look, I did ask Claude to create a worksheet containing these monophthongs, and these are the phonemic transcriptions. Because my students, I believe that they are a little bit, let's say, lower ability learners, I would cover, you can see on the left side of the screen, there are monophthongs, the phonemic transcription, for each monophthong and phoneme, along with the words. I would cover the monophthongs and the phonemic transcription, and I would ask students to match the words with the phonemic transcription or the monophthongs that are scattered. And if you can see, as you can see, guys, these, let's say, monophthongs are scattered because the students will have the choice of which one to choose and to do, the choice of how fast to complete the task. And they are also legitimizing we are legitimizing that it's okay if you don't know. We don't need to, let's say, put unnecessary pressure on the student's shoulder that you must be the jack of all trades and know everything. Do you see? And you're trying to make it more collaborative rather than a competitive, let's say, activity. If I'm going to adapt the task up, what I will do is making it in this way. I would ask ChatGPT to create or generate a scattered, or let's say, a bunch of words with the phonemic transcription, and they are all scattered in a worksheet. And I would print it out and I would hand it to my students. Before handing it out to them, I would say, you're going to choose 3 words and write down the word that you're almost sure about. Then stand up and pass it on to someone else. This game is called Pass It On. And it again comes from Penier. It's a brilliant idea. And the students can start writing down the complete word and then stand up and pass it to someone else and to someone else and to someone else. This is a wonderful activity that you could incorporate in your classroom with, let's say, phonemic transcription. We're almost at the end and I'm trying to wrap it up. Adapting the language tasks up. If you look at the screen, you can see that there are 12, let's say, statements here beginning with I. And here it says complete the sentences. Use love, like, enjoy, don't like, hate, and can't stand. If I'm going to adapt the language task up, I would probably ask my students, especially the fast finishers, to add reason or justification. I'm pretty sure you might have experienced. There are students who are fast finishers, and they are going to write, I really like swimming. I like eating out. I don't like. And what if they are going to raise their hand very quickly and say, teacher, finish, done. So you could probably say, okay, now, can you rack your brain, come up with some reasons? Why do you think you like hanging out? Why don't you like spending your time, for example, outside in the middle of a scorching hot weather or summer, especially in Vietnam, for instance? You see, you're trying to adapt the language task up. Even if you want to add the element of communication and make it more collaborative, you can change I to we. Again, I hope that you can realize the difference between the previous slide and the other one. I really like like, we really like, we like. You could allow those fast finishers to communicate with each other and see to what extent they have something in common with each other, with each other. If they are sharing similarities, like we both really like swimming in the middle of summer because you're making it more communicative, you're making it more collaborative. Could you adapt tasks to help with your mixed ability classes? Yes or no? I would like you very briefly to tell me into the chat box yes, and then I'm going to just in 2 minutes wrap it up, and then there will be chance for Q&A. A lot of yeses. Thank you, Iman Dunn. And I would like to know how. And this is an interesting part. Guys, uh, all in all, if I'm going to make an analogy, this comes from Jim Rose, who has very beautifully made this analogy. Guys, a mixed ability class is like an elevator or a lift. Why? Everyone needs to get into the lift to start with. Some students will run into a lift. Some will have to be dragged in. Some students will travel right to the top of the building. Some may stop at the third floor and some may only reach the first floor, but everyone will have traveled somewhere successfully. At the end of the class, every single student can leave the room feeling that they have been challenged and they have achieved something. This is a beautiful and a perfect analogy, I believe, that we can, let's say, sleep on and realize that what happens in a mixed ability classroom. Guys, so it almost brings us to the end of this session. And now I would like to give you the chance for some Q&A and we could exchange ideas. In the chat box, can you type, Dear AI, in my mixed ability class, please help me with what? Can you type into the chat box, guys, how AI can help you or assist you with mixed ability classes? Farzana typed to create activities, multi-tier tasks. This is what Fawza wrote. Pusha worksheets. Fatma write differentiated practical activities to plan a lesson, foster an inclusive classroom. Great, thank you, David, Patsy, Piri. Uh, Great, incredible. It is rapidly fast, I'm afraid. Julie, great. Patrick, you said plan differentiated lesson plans. Wonderful. So this could be a very nice letter that you could write to AI. So I would like to ask dear Kath to join us. And if you agree, we are going to spend some time for Q&A. And these are all the references, wonderful participants that I did heavily rely on and use. And don't forget, there are resources, guidelines, a lot of research and amazing worksheets, in particular, British Council booklets. You can utilize this one, AI activities. This is wonderful. And don't forget, there are
Okay.
also free courses about inclusive classrooms and digital and technology. And you can even find me here, LinkedIn and Instagram. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for listening. Over to you, dear Kath. I am all ears. If we could,
Hi.
some of the
Great.
questions.
Thank you so much for that session, Hamid. You can stop sharing your screen now so we can see you a little bit better. That would be great. And just a reminder to everyone that all of the links and all of the activities that you've seen today, we've got lots of information about that in the handout that you will all receive after these sessions today. So we've got time just for a few sessions, a few questions, sorry, Hamid. One question that we've got here from, I think it's from Azeve. Yes, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. They say some weaker students may not feel motivated if they notice, for example, the activity where you adapted a text. So you had the B2 level and the B1. That's a great way, a really great tool to quickly adapt text to different levels. But Azedi's question is, how can you prevent the students that receive the lower level text from feeling demotivated or to notice that differentiation perhaps in a more negative way? What do you tell students you're going to give them different texts, or how do you handle that in classes?
That's a wonderful question to think about,
Mm,
to take into account. Yes, in advance, when I'm going to the classroom, I would let's say, differentiate the text in multiple ways, and I would put it on, for example, a chair or a desk, and I would allow them to come here and select and choose. I'm not going to say this text is definitely just for A2 learner. You come here and pick it up. No, I'm not going to do this. I would probably design for A2, A2 plus, B1. Thanks to AI, we can do it immediately. So it's
Mm,
going to be done very immediately, and it's a comfortable way. And I would allow them to decide and choose. I'm not going to
mm,
nominate. They're going to come and see, okay, I think this is my right level. I would pick it up. Or I
mm,
think this is my right level. Pennier has got a very wonderful, it's got a wonderful idea, like designing different tasks, and in particular nowadays with AI, and put it up and make it as a kind of, let's say, laminated so you can use it permanently. Put it on the chair and ask them to come here and check and look and see which one would appeal to them. If
mm,
it's a particular closed task or an open task. But at the end of the day, it's crucial to realize that whether I need to adapt it up or adapt it down, at least having multiple types of activities.
hmm hmm
I'm not going to nominate. That's it
Yeah.
to make
Okay. Also, I
motivating.
guess for students, it's motivating if they see then that they're able to sort of choose a more difficult task later on. It gives them a sense of achievement as well. So yeah, okay, that's great. We've got more questions related to, and I guess this is inevitable when we talk about AI. We're all aware of the time saving and all of that. But one issue that always comes up is, risk. What are some of the risks with using AI? How can we be sure that the tools we're using are reliable, are safe? I mean, do you have any, just, I know we haven't got very much time, but have you got any general guidelines for how you go about choosing the AI tools that you use with your learners?
To be perfectly honest, what I personally do, I am always trying to look at some YouTube tutorials and see what are some of the
Mm,
guidelines. I would
hmm
also have a depth look at the website and see what type of information it can provide me with. And I would double check whether they are valid, they are something that I can rely on or not. Like we have websites such as Perplexity, and Perplexity would be something interesting because it gives you and provides you with some references when you're asking it to provide you. And sometimes when I'm checking, it would lead me or it would direct me to a web page where there is a kind of no valid piece of information. I would always double
Right.
check. Bear in
hmm
mind, in order to use AI tools effectively, you must have a critical eye. We cannot
Yeah.
necessarily accept whatever it has suggested. And bear in mind, there
Mm,
is a very beautiful South African proverb which says, little by little, little becomes a lot. So try to make and
mhm.
implement these changes little by little, and you will see a significant, let's say, change in
Yeah.
your. This is what I do, and maybe,
Yeah.
and I would use AI tools, and I would use the British Council, the PDF file, the booklet about AI activities, and I can at least find out there are lots of researchers and they are scholars and they did a lot of research, and I know at least I can rely on their resources
Yeah.
and what they say.
Yeah, sure. So you're kind of advocating for the human element there to check everything that you're using. Yeah. I mean, we've had a couple of comments as well from different people talking about the effect that AI might have on both learners' creativity, but also on teachers' creativity. Obviously, lesson planning. We want to save time lesson planning, but do you think using AI takes something away from the creativity involved in lesson planning?
Absolutely not. I certainly believe that the future belongs to the ones who prepare themselves for it.
Mm,
And AI could be only a kind of thinking partner. AI is not
mm,
going to replace us. AI is not going to kill our creativity. We can also ask it to provide us with some brilliant ideas. And for today's session, even I did use AI for some of these wonderful ideas that I did try to tweak a little bit.
mm,
And this is what I can do. No, I don't think that AI would definitely kill creativity. It depends largely on how you would use them, and the
mm,
more you try to raise your awareness in this respect, the more capable you are in terms of how to use this, the providing
mhm,
the specific prompt. I
mhm.
highly
Sure.
recommend focusing on those British Council booklets because they would
Mm.
significantly raise your awareness in terms of how to use it.
Yeah, sure. Somebody in the chat, Ali, has said planning for mixed ability classes can put a lot of cognitive pressure on on a teacher, and also can be very time consuming. But I guess the tools that you've showed us are all tools that actually take away some of that cognitive pressure and take away some of that labor intensive work of differentiation.
Absolutely right. And thanks to this AI and thanks to these AI tools, I've already mentioned, remember that success in your lessons is not just about knowing everything. It's
Hmm.
about taking actions with what you already know. If you
Hmm.
imagine, for example, there is a car driving at night and the headlights, let's say, show a few feet ahead, but that's enough to keep moving, am I right? You don't necessarily need to read the whole road, and you just need to see the next step. And if you make these little changes and small changes, I'm pretty certain you will
Hmm.
experience and feel the results and the takeaway and the outcome from your lessons.
Hmm. Okay, thanks. I'm afraid we could talk a lot more, and but we've actually run out of time. But for everybody watching us, don't forget that Hamid and our next speaker, Catherine Riley, will be coming back for a Q&A on this topic of AI for inclusion. You can see there on your screens. It's on the 7th of June at 1 o'clock UTK time on our Teaching English Facebook page. So please sign up for that and come back, and you can have plenty more opportunities to discuss some of these issues and put your questions to both Hamid and Catherine. That's it for this session, but we'll be coming back in 15 minutes for our next session in today's mini event, which is with Catherine Riley, and it's all about creating opportunities for all your learners using AI. So how we can create more inclusive classrooms with some of these tools. So thanks once again very much to Hamid. Thanks to Melissa and Philippa, and also to Naomi on Facebook for moderating. And thank you for everybody for their participation. And we hope to see you at our next session in 15 minutes. Thanks very much.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, everybody, for all your wonderful contribution and interaction. Thank you indeed. Have a good one and take care.
Thank you.